Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchid. Thought I'd do a little point and shoot update of this upstairs landing space today. It's just been a little while between videos, I think, so I apologise for that, but I've just been flat out with work and haven't really had that much time to film and edit. Having said that, I did film a jewel orchid update, but that evening I just couldn't get the lighting right. The dogs kept like coming in and had to keep reshooting, so it just didn't work out. So I'm gonna have to refilm that one. There's a few things going on up here, but I just want to show you Operation Home Jungle is going really well. I just enjoy this space so much. I'll sit up here, watch TV, folding some clothes, and I don't know, just feels like the air is fresher up here somehow. But anyway, if I put any more plants up here, I'm pretty sure Jared will kill me. So, but anyhow, I really sort of wanted to have some vining plants down here, but mature philodendrons, pothos, and I don't know, other like strings of stuff, they just cost quite a bit if you buy them mature. So I've just gone for the cheap and easy route and just bought like little $5, $10 cuttings and potted them up, and I'm just going to enjoy watching them grow, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to quickly show you these houseplants because I know it's an orchid channel, but I'm just really proud of how they're going at the moment. So some of these guys I've had for a little while, but a lot of them are new. But this is a Stramanthe tricolor, which I got about maybe 6 weeks ago. From the pictures, I thought it would be like smaller. And when I got it, it was super tall. I repotted it as soon as I got it, I think, because it was just going to split the pot open, and it had like heaps of leaves which were taller than me. So I trimmed it back, repotted it, and it's doing really well. It's a really pretty plant actually, and it's one of the prayer plants, although a big version of it. So at night time all the leaves move and they point upwards. Oh, Frankie, he just farted. Alright, fresh air, okay. This is a philodendron silver sword. I think it's Hastatum is the species name, and I also got this one not too long ago. There's 2 plants in there, I think, and I'm not sure how I feel about the log. Maybe once like the plant fills out a little bit and I sort of make it a little bit bushier, it'll look a bit nicer. This is a big elephant ear, Alocasia something or other, and I'm still learning about the Alocasias as well. This one I've had probably 3 or 4 months now, and it grew a new leaf, but as soon as it started growing the new leaf, it lost the old one. So I think I just have to find the balance where I'm sort of keeping an eye on when it does grow a new leaf, just to keep on top of watering and on top of fertilizing. My philodendron Rojo Congo, I've had this one for maybe over 6-7 months now, and it was quite small when I got it, and it's just started in the last few months to bring out these nice big new leaves, which is nice. Couple more philodendrons. This is a cute one, another philodendron, Shangri-La, I believe. This is a dragon's tail, Epipremnum. Got a couple of babies here which I planted up, a couple of peperomias. This is a watermelon peperomia, and this is a pothos. A few cuttings that I've potted up. This is actually really pretty once it grows out. And this is my one and only begonia, which came to me bare root, and I potted up and it's actually growing out like all these new leaves. So this shelf in general is really quite protected at the moment. So in winter I've got direct light coming in this way, but not a lot coming onto these shelves, even though it's a nice bright western warm sort of area. The plants that I sort of recently pot up or recently acquire kind of sit up here, and this is one that I only got maybe last week. This is a philodendron verrucosum, and it's not like super common, but there are definitely like a lot more rare philodendrons out there. But check out the stem on that one. That is pretty cool. But I'll have to repot this one soon, I think. This pot's like breaking. It's not very good quality. So down here I've got a couple of plants that I'm sort of protecting from the elements as well, but I recently repotted some of these pinguiculas. So this is like one section of a pinguicula that I split into 3, and it just had so many little growths on it, so that's recently repotted. And some of these catasetums are the ones that just aren't doing that well. Most of them we know weren't doing very well, but this one is some bad news. This is Cycnodes Wine Delight, and I just kind of feel like me and this orchid are not meant to be. So I don't know what happened to it, but it just basically started rotting. So I've lost 2 of the back bulbs. So one of them just completely desiccated, and the last year's growth was yellow and soft. So I had to cut it back, and you can see I've left a little bit of the base, but it's mostly gone. I mean, the main reason I noticed is because the leaves that were dropping off the newest growth were just an off colour. So let me show you up here. But you can see that I've got this catasetum going into dormancy up here, and the leaves are yellowing. It kind of looks like normal leaf drop, whereas this one kind of looked like a darker yellow, and the leaves look more, I don't know, kind of slimy, like they just didn't look right. And yeah, just on closer inspection I found what I found, and you can even see on the main plant there's these black patches, right? So it's not looking great. I've put a little bit of cinnamon on that patch there, and yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it and see what happens. So this happened last week, I think, and for now it hasn't progressed. It lost the rest of its leaves, but nothing else has kind of progressed, so we'll just wait and see what happens to it. But yeah, disappointing, and I feel very guilty about it. Here are a couple more Alocasias. I've got this beautiful Alocasia Amazonica, one of my favorites actually. So it's brought out 2 new leaves in my care. This is its newest one here, and what I want to show you, like, look how cool the undersides of these leaves are. Let me show you this one that's developing. But how cool does that look? I absolutely love watching these leaves grow. And this is another Alocasia that I got. This is Alocasia zebrina. I got this from Bunnings for like $25. It's pretty cool. This one also, as it was growing a new leaf, dropped an old leaf. So there's definitely a bit of a pattern going on there. I think I just have to keep an eye on them when they're in growth mode and really water them well at that time. Alright, so over here everything's looking pretty good. These are the seedling catasetums, or most of them, plus a couple of randoms, and they're all doing pretty good. Another shelf of Mortier Paphiopedilums. They're all really happy. They're all doing really well actually, and a couple of random bulbophyllums there. The species Fowls. Now, they kind of like this spot, but also on the cold nights, I think 1 or 2 nights, I've accidentally kept these windows open, and these guys did not like that very much. So a couple of the bottom leaves didn't react very well, but I did find, can you guys see that? I've got a flower spike on this one. So this is a little speciosum that I've had for a couple of years. So Fowl speciosa, which I thought was a summer bloomer, so it's nice to see a little spike on that one. And nothing else much going on. These guys are all kind of growing new leaves, but pretty slow and steady. I've got a random Angricum Magdalena here, and one thing I will say about this orchid is it does not like drying out, not one little bit. Every time it goes bone dry, it'll just start losing a leaf, so that's a hot tip for this plant. Up the top here I've got like my bigger catasetums, and I've heavily reduced the watering. Does that make sense? I have dramatically reduced the watering on these guys to head them into dormancy, so they're starting to lose their leaves. This winter has just not been a very cold winter. Like, we've had a couple of weeks that have dropped below 10 degrees, but this week is actually quite warm. You should see I'm in shorts at the moment, and that's really odd for winter for me because I'm just a cold frog and I'm always cold. But yeah, it's and the nights have all been above 10 degrees Celsius, so it's been quite mild. But yeah, besides the catasetums, I've got the Myrmecativola Francis Fox here, and there's a so the sheath has erupted, and I've got a little flower spike emerging. That's so exciting. So there's not that much progress in terms of a new growth or anything, but at least it's working on that flower spike still, and you can see that the pseudobulbs really aren't that shriveled at all, so I'm glad it's doing well. Got a couple of, again, like I've just bought smaller plants of these guys, but that's a chain of hearts and a little chain of beans or whatever. Sherry Baby really needs a repot. And I honestly, it's just that I haven't gotten around to it. But in the meantime, it has just opened up one extra sneaky flower spike, and it's looking gorgeous, completely opened up at the moment. Here is Arthurara Sea Snake Unforgettable, losing its blooms. They didn't last all that long, but it's a little bit of a struggling plant, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off after shooting this video today. We've got my beautiful Cattleya Pink Diamond. This is the oldest spike. These flowers have been out for quite some time now, maybe at least 6 weeks, I think. It brought out these flowers about 3 weeks afterwards, so they're still open nicely. But it's just been an amazing display for the last month or two. It's really outdid itself this year. Oh, and okay, hang on, I have to take this one down. So this is the first blooming for this plant, and actually this growth is still growing, but it's turned into a fairly decent sized plant that I also probably need to repot. But check this out. This is Dendrobium Samurai, and it's an antelope type dendrobium, or a spatulata type. And look at these blooms. Aren't they cool? So they're not very big, but check out those twisty petals. See why they're called antelope type, but that is so cool. So I've got 3 spikes. This one is open now. And I've got another spike down here waiting to open. So yes, that's Dendrobium Samurai. Got a few little fowls down here. This is Valbellina that got repotted a couple of months ago with a new leaf. This is another section of the Pinguicula that I recently repotted. Here's a little seedling that's doing well, Oncidium sertoanum. So I got this with just 2 small pseudobulbs, but this is what you kind of want to see when you have seedlings. Look how plump that new pseudobulb is, and you can see that there's such a nice progression of growth there with compared with the smallest pseudobulb. Hopefully this continues to do well. Still probably a couple of years away from blooming though. And the Oncidiums on this shelf are doing well. You can see the Twinkle here with 15 spikes is still branching and budding and branching and budding. Got Bollara, Peggy Ruth Carpenter. Her flowers sort of darken a little bit as they age. Looks really pretty. And you can see I've got a spike there on one of my Wilsonaras. I think that's 10 treasures. And I've got another spike here on one of my Odontocidium Wildcats. Actually, that's getting a lot longer than I thought it would. So there's not much more to say that's going on this shelf, except that I'm really happy with how these dendrobiums are going in general, and they're all pretty much hard canes, except for this is a Cattleya type, but they're all fairly complex in their hybridization. Even though none of them are flowering, I'm very happy with just generally how they're growing. The ones that have been in their pots for a couple of years now, like the progression of growth on them is just really nice. Like that one, even my firewings back here, which I've always struggled with, you know, losing a pseudobulb or 2 in winter. Like, it's growing really well. Like, that's its newest growth there. I think it's going to be its biggest. Again here, this dendrobium has a nice big growth as its newer growth. Even my little ones here, like this Latoria type, has a really nice sort of progression of growth there, as you can see. So on this shelf, we've got Dendrobium little green apples. I am so proud of this orchid. It just continually grows new growths. It had such a good blooming this season. So its first couple of flower spikes have faded now, But they came out in late March. Like, honestly, it's just been a very, very impressive blooming, and it's bringing out 2 growths at the moment, which are both doing very well. I don't know, it just makes me feel like a proud plant mom. This is Howiara Little Lava Burst, and unfortunately I found some scale in this plant which I cleaned up, but it was pretty bad actually in between where the flower spikes were, so it got a pretty rough treatment. I'm trying to get all those little bits of scale out, and the flower spike just hasn't lasted as long because of that. Now, I can't believe this one's still open, but this is Paphiopedilum green coral, which I feel like it shouldn't last that much longer, but it's been over 2 months now that it's been open. And we've got some very, very vivid, beautiful Twinkles here. So I'm not sure of their names, but this is a beautiful yellow twinkle. They smell amazing. They smell like sweet vanilla. Got a beautiful show from this twinkle here. This little pink one. How gorgeous is that? It's got the 3 spikes. Look at this. Look how cute it is. The little pink blooms and the yellow lip. Look at that. And last we've got this little corner here. Oh my gosh, this needs a water. This is an Alocasia silver dragon, I think. People think orchids are hard, but you let orchids dry out for a couple of days, even the ones that need quite a bit of water, and they probably just shrivel up a little bit. They've got reserve in their pseudobulbs, but you let these like little Alocasias dry out. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit biased, but these guys are doing well. This is Bulbophyllum Rothschildianum, which tried to grow some flower spikes last summer, but they kind of just shriveled up and didn't quite make it. It's got 2 new growths growing. And this is Mean Chikora, Bulbophyllum Mean Chikora, which I got from the Queensland International Orchid Fair. Some of the little newbies, which I kind of need to do something with, but for now they're just here. Here we've got Oncidisa, Sweet Sugar, beautiful yellow dancing lady with a nice branching spike there. Here we've got my very, very sad looking Dendrobium spectabile, which, I don't know, it just declined last year. But you can see it's working on a tiny, tiny little growth there. It's extremely slow going just because this plant obviously doesn't have any leaves, so it's finding photosynthesizing and just producing energy generally difficult. So good on you, little plant. Keep doing what you're doing. Take all the time you need. It's fine. These guys are going pretty well down here. One of my Dendrobiums doing well. This is Dendrobium Snowdrop Astanova. These guys hang on to their blooms pretty much as long as the flowers, sometimes like up to 3 months. So it's still going strong. Got another new bloom here. This is Colmonara Wildcat Bloodshot, and it is a very, very pretty wildcat. So this is the second blooming for me. There's just something about these blooms. I did not expect them to be so pretty. So I was pleasantly surprised when it bloomed last year. Check out how glossy and dark red these guys are, but that little hint of yellow, little flecks of yellow through the petals and sepals, it's really nice. I've got Dendrobium New Hope with 2 extra little flower spikes. So it lost its old flower spike back there. It's just working on 2 new ones. It's a very nice, simple little Dendrobium as well. And last shelf here, we've got Bollara Matthias Glamour. One of my favourite Bollara blooms. The patterning is just so intricate. And then there's a tiny little yellow hint in the center. It's just so pretty. And it's got a slight floral sort of fragrance to it. Nothing to write home about. And really what turns your head is going to be these flowers, which are actually a decent size. Not huge, but probably medium-sized flowers. Very, very nice. And Psychopsis Mendenhall Hildos, not doing anything there. I think that after asking a few people, these guys do slow down a little bit in winter, but also when they're working on, say, new growth, they don't tend to continue flowering, apparently. So the flower spike is still viable. You can see it's there, like there's something there, but it hasn't done anything for over a month now. And this is its newest pseudobulb, and it's still fattening out and developing down there. So maybe once that's done, or when the weather warms up a bit, it'll continue on with that flower spike. Next to it we've got Dendrobium White Surprise Dragon, and unfortunately this plant has blasted 2 of its bulbs. So one night, it was quite a cold, windy night, and I accidentally left the windows open, and even though most of the other buds were okay, these 2 blasted afterwards. But luckily I've still got the others intact. This one's got 4 spikes. You can see one of them, and maybe that's also due to that cold night, but one of them only has 1 flower on the tip. And last of all, we've got my no ID Dendrobium, and it's nearly in full bloom. It is such a pretty plant. It'll never turn out very well in the photos or on film, but it is a really velvety texture. The colour just doesn't turn out as magenta as it is in real life either. But there we've got 3 spikes on this one. Let me go on the other side of this railing here. And you can see I've got these blooms opening, and I've got another spike back there opening up. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this little update. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. Hope you guys have a great week, and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye!